Hello, everybody. I believe we are live on Facebook, streaming to the event page and hopefully shared or also streamed to the hosts' respective society pages. Welcome, everyone who is joining us. I'll give everyone a minute to filter in and then we'll get started. Okie dokie, we got a few people tuned in on Facebook. So let's begin. Welcome everybody to this event, Glasgow University Palestinian Israeli Dialogue Society and the Glasgow University Dialectic Society in conversation with Women Wage Peace. Women Wage Peace is the largest grassroots movement in the Israel-Palestine region, actively campaigning for an honourable, non-violent and mutually acceptable agreement to end the conflict. They specifically involve and promote the participation of women from diverse groups of the population, pursuant, of course, to UN Resolution 1325. And to tell us more about the work, about Women Wage Peace and the work that they do, we have our two guest speakers here tonight. Hiam is an author, trainer, and organizer holding a master's in counseling and guidance. She has been training and supervising counselors since 1997. She was the head of the non-violence committee at all of the North schools and has also organized the From Memory to Peace initiative. Her love, belief, and concern for those on both sides of the conflict has encouraged her to be actively promoting dialogues. And in 2007, she was a member of the team that wrote the book Careful Listening and Conversations, Creating Dialogue Between Members of Conflicting Multicultural Groups. And Ronnie was raised in northern Israel and holds a master's in Jewish education. She taught for 20 years and was assistant principal of the prestigious Experimental High School in Jerusalem before becoming executive director of the adult school Elul. Now she has returned to teaching and is also studying a PhD in feminine knowledge and skills in the Babylonian Talmud, which sounds fascinating as a studying topic. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming in. As always, for those of us listening, the dialectic process starts with you. So as we have our discussion tonight, please do ask questions by the many avenues that we have set up for you to do that. The best is the Slido Q&A stream, which we have links to, I believe, on the event page. Should be in the comment section underneath this live stream and in many other places. Post your questions there. You can see what other questions people are asking and upvote those, and we will get to as many of those as we can. Before we begin, I'd like to thank both of the student societies which have kindly put together this event. The Glasgow University Palestinian-Israeli Dialogue Society aims to promote a non-partisan platform at the University of Glasgow to discuss and share views and experiences concerning Israel and Palestine. A big thank you to Melanie and Iona for all their work which has gone into this. And of course, the Glasgow University Dialectic Society, a society dedicated to free and open thought at the University of Glasgow, facilitating talks, Q&As and panel discussions on a thoroughly unlimited range of topics. So a big thank you to Gwendolyn, Shareth, Jared and Matilda. They have such a big student board. Thank you to everybody at the Glasgow University Dialectic Society for all their work which has gone into this. Without further ado, let's get into our conversation tonight. I'd like to ask, by asking both of you about the organization, about Women Wage Peace. In a nutshell, what is it that the organization does?
Okay, thank you for your lovely introduction, but I would like to add that who I am. I am Hiyam Tarnous, from a Palestinian Arab Christian woman from Haifa, a beautiful city on the slopes of the Mediterranean Sea. I have 2 sons and 4 adorable grandchildren that I will do everything for their safe future. So this is why I am at Women Wage Peace, because I believe that we can do something, and we have our actions serve to further the 2 goals of the movement: a negotiated agreement ending the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with full participation of women in all aspects of peacemaking and ensuring security. This is why we believe that we can do something and we can give peace a chance while having the woman voice, which till now we didn't hear her as we are doing in our movement. So, Ronnie, continue.
Yeah, I'll try also as you asked. First of all, thank you for inviting us and for having us with you all. And in a nutshell, I'll try to be very short. First of all, I'm also, besides of what you said, I'm also a mother of 3 children, and I wish a better future for them here in the region. And I honestly believe that peace is possible. It's not just a phrase, a nice phrase, and peace is possible. And our leadership should work in order to get it. And it was the summer of 2014 that hundreds of women all over Israel, without knowing each other, felt that enough is enough, because it was another operation in Gaza. And my children were about to go to the army, all 3 of them in different times. And I said, I have to do something about it. And I was lucky enough that hundreds of women, Jews and Arabs and Druze and religious and non-religious, felt the same as I did at that summer. So right after this summer, at the end of this summer, Women Wage Peace was launched and we start working. It was very spontaneously at the beginning, but quite quickly we organized a movement, and it was spread quite quickly. So anyway, this is for me, it's the voice of women, but also working for peace, because peace should be something that we work. It won't come just from the sky. So so we wanted to move it forward.
What's so special in our organization is that we have been reaching out to women across the country in search of diversity and voices that represent a broad spectrum of opinions and views. For example, in a meeting between Women Wage Peace activists and religious women, we found that the mere encounter between women who have never discussed politics before and never heard the pain and dreams of one another led to a deeper understanding of oneself and the other side. Women from opposite political views shared their concerns about war, terrorism, violence, and the treatment of Arab in Israel and the West Bank, which is, we have Israel, Arabs in Israel, and we have the West Bank, which is outside the border. So it's a bit, complicated, but, we are doing our best in order to come to understand each other, to feel the pain of each other, to touch each other, and to say we are mothers and we want, as Oroni said, a better future for our children.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about those early stages. You mentioned back in 2014 when things sort of started to come together. What was the journey like from those early stages to what the movement is today?
First of all, it was, the summer of 2014 was another summer of a war that many hundreds of people felt like nothing would change. Besides some families that their life will be destroyed because they will suffer from this another operation at war, nothing in the region really will change. It will be still about 6-7 million Jews in the area, and it will be about 5 or 6 million Arabs in the area, and it wouldn't change. So fighting again and again and again. So I guess that all of a sudden, many women, not only women, but many women had this, had enough. So it was really that I felt like I was kicked out of home because I wasn't active before. And so the first few stages was to realize that we have to bring even the word peace back to the streets, back the word peace and process and dialogue back to politician life, because people became so despair and so cynic about it. So it was like our passion felt that we have to start talk about peace again, or even though peace would sound like a dream, like naive idea. So let's talk about an agreement, an acceptable agreement by both sides. Because if agreement was possible in Ireland, in South Africa, agreement is possible here. Let's start again talking about agreement in Israel. So that was also, first of all, something in knowledge, something just in the back of my mind, that Israelis, Arabs, Israelis and Jews, Israelis and Palestinians should again talk and listen and hear the word peace and agreement, and we should put it back on the table. And that was our first goal. But organizing and we are all volunteer, but then we needed so we start standing out in the streets in different places in different times, and it was like a demonstration, but it wasn't really a demonstration. But then at the same time, we start building a movement and start thinking how we should attract the audience attention, how we should attract politicians' attention, which kind of direction we should work at. So we picked actually, and Hiam, you would help me soon, we will pick actually, I think, 3 fields, main fields that we will work. One is audience, just public, just go out to the public. So we went on Fridays outside, now we are doing Thursdays in streets in the big cities. We did the marches, and we can give you details later. So just to attract audience attention. Another dimension or another field that how we will attract politicians' attention. So we go once a week, much before the corona, the COVID-19, we go and look for projects with politicians, write them letters, come to the parliament, having ceremonies around parliament. I mean, trying to, and also offer, we brought them different projects to think about. So it's just the public and politicians. And the third direction was, of course, like everybody does now, it's the media, the electronic media, all the platforms that there is. So we are trying to work like in a different directions. And we have different projects, and we can give more details about it. But the first big project was in the summer of 2015. We built a tent in front of the Prime Minister's house, saying that we don't want in this summer another operation or another war. We want to memorize the people who got killed and their family next year later, because every summer there was another operation. So we said enough, and we were fasting 50 days the number of days that the operation was. Not each one of us 50 days, but each one of us were fasting 50 hours. Just that the Prime Minister would know and the audience would know that we are not going to forget this operation, and we are expecting this cycle to be stopped. So that was our first big project, and in that way, the media, the radio and television, a little bit, not enough, but people start hear about us that way. So that was, and each year we are looking for a big project in a different way. And along the year, we have meetings right now. Okay, because of the COVID, we don't do that so much anymore, but we have meetings with young people, with students. We go to houses. We do different things along the year, but once or twice a year, we have a very big project that we do.
Can I add something? Yes, I would like to add that it wasn't easy. When we started to work, we thought, about how to bring women together. So we had plenty of workshops showing the film of Pray the Devil Back to Hell. It's the story about Liberia. We had a wonderful woman whose name was, what's her name, Ronnie? I forgot her name. Emma Boy.
Leima Boy. She got the prize.
Okay, so she gave us, an idea how to work. So we started showing the film about how in Liberia also there was a big conflict and how women woke up and they came to a conclusion and to a solution that they let the two leaders sitting together at the end and talk. So in our workshop, we watched women and people watched the film, and together we thought that if it happened in Liberia, it can also happen here. Another thing which I would like to add and which made me really be in this movement, it's our new language. We have a new language. For 70 years, the Israeli and the Arab and the Palestinians were criticizing themselves. They were hating themselves, talking about, racism and all the things. our new language is no blaming and no shaming. We refrain from criticism, including criticism of political leaders, and support positive action directed toward negotiation and a peaceful resolution of the conflict, which means that when we approach people, we don't talk at something that we don't have, or something that we don't do. We work about what we are going to do. Even our language, for instance, we talk positive things, we ask questions, and our new language is complicated because so many people understand that, and they say wow, and we have people that say, what this language, how you don't criticize, how you don't hate, or all these things. So I think that Ronnie, and if we will talk till tomorrow, we can tell you how much this movement made a change in the conscience of people, in the heart of the people, in the mind of the people, telling all of us that really we can do it and we can give peace a chance. And something else what we are doing also, we said, with whom you are making peace? With your enemy? Okay, let's say that between the Jewish people and the Palestinian people, we are enemy. But we said, no, we have to do something. So we started meeting wonderful Palestinian women from the West Bank at a place called Beit Jala, which is a place, C, we call it a place C, in order that we can meet. And there we met wonderful women who told us, we want peace, we want to meet you, we want to learn your language, we want to know more about your movement, and we want also to have peace here because we are fed up of the checkpoint, we are fed up of violence, we are fed up that our kids are dying because we don't our kids to die anymore. We don't want them to listen to people who are extremists. We want to listen to people like you who give the future a chance. So for me, for instance, I think it's a very good step in order that if we want to make peace with the other, we have to meet him, we have to change his mind. And I can tell you of encounters together, how at the beginning there were hatred and confusion, and the women didn't want to talk with each other. And at the end, they felt that they are mothers. We finished our workshops in hugging and saying, wow, we have to work with our leaders. We have to tell them that there is no other choice. We have to think how to make peace possible in a time that everything is impossible. So we are very optimistic. Sometimes I feel depressed, but I have Ronnie who tells me, Hiam, we don't have the credit to be depressed. We don't have. We have to think and to work 24/7 in order to bring this peace. And look, something is happening in the Middle East. Look at the peace now with the Emirates. Who thought that now Israel is going to talk with the Arab world? And now the Arab world is accepting Israel. And I believe that it's about time that Israel will make peace with her neighbor. And this is what we are working, because our movement objective is an agreement accepted by both leaders, and we are with these two leaders in order to give life to our children and to our grandchildren. So.
And I suppose that really shows the power of such a positive, such an open, kind of loving message, and what that can really do to change the situation. So right now, you of course mentioned the current restrictions and how that's changed things for you at the moment. What is the organization's current priorities? What are you guys working on just at the moment?
Right now, at this moment, I mean, just a while ago, we were working. I don't know if you are all updated if what's going on here, but just a while ago, we were working very, very hard, connected to the annexation that was on table.
Yeah.
Because this region is so crazy. Things are happening so quickly. So we were working very hard to say that annexation cannot be part of what we do because it's not acceptable by both sides. It's only one side decide. So now, after we have this with kind of agreement with the Emirates or peace, So we were very happy and very supportive of that. But then we said, okay, but what about the Palestinians? We don't have war with the Emirates. We have war with the Palestinians. So right now what we are working on, and next week it's going to be
23rd of November.
Yeah, next week it's going to be the 23rd of November, Monday next week. We're going to have a big day of to memorize or to celebrate, I don't know which word would be right, the United Nations decision that called 1325. That I'm sure some of you heard about it, or if not, you can Google it very easily. So 20 years ago, the United Nations accepted a decision that called 1325. Translate the numbers. But anyway, so they support and they ask countries to promote women to decision-making places, especially concerning peace and security. Obviously, women are 50% of the population, so women should get a place, an equal place, and egalitarian attitude in all places, but especially in peace and security. So next week we're going to have how do you say talucha? I forgot the word. We're gonna have
what Ama? איזה מילה?
talucha.
A rally? A rally?
Right.
A rally.
We're gonna have a big rally. First of all, we're gonna have in front of our parliament in the morning. It will be a whole day in Jerusalem that women from all over Israel would come and join us. We're gonna have in the morning. We're gonna have a kind of a congress with politicians, with women, and also with diplomats. Again, mainly women from different countries. That would be in the morning, just talking about the decision and talking about how to promote more women into peace process, and that women would be able to influence that. And then we're going to go out to a big rally in Jerusalem, all around Jerusalem, and then we will end up in a place that we're going to have a big event there. So it is now, this is the thing that we are trying to emphasize, the fact that women should be involved in decision-making when it comes to peace and security, because I'm sure you all know that Israel has a very strong army, and then when most of the men finish the army, they go to politics. And women, I've been in the army. Here I'm not, because she's an Arab, I'm a Jew. I was in the army, but I was only 2 years, and as a women, we don't get to get into high positions, and we don't have the salary that they have, and we don't have the amount of friends and members and all the network that they have. And then they go to politics. So Israel became quite a militaristic society. So we want to stop that. I mean, as much as we need the army and we respect them, but we want women to be more involved in peace process, and women way of thinking and women way of organizing should be part of all this process. And it sounds right, but it's very tough. It sounds true, and it sounds, oh, what's the big deal? Oh, cool. It's easy, but it's very, very complicated.
Wow, so that's a lot of important work going on even now, when so much of the world has shut down, but these issues continue to be important, and this work continues to be just as important as well. I'd like to ask a bit more about your stories in particular. Each of you, how did you get started with the organization, with campaigning on these issues? And I'd just like to hear a little bit more about how you guys got involved.
Okay.
Hiyam, if you'd like to go first.
I will start. At the beginning, you know, I was working as a senior supervisor, working on conflict resolution and narrative and everything that's included to bring peace. And then I was retired. I didn't know nothing about this movement. One day I was sitting before the TV, and suddenly I saw something that till now, when I think about it, I feel excited and emotionally. So I saw a picture of thousands of women, thousands, wearing, you know, white and turquoise, walking in the desert. Oh my God, what are these women doing? And then it was one of the most important rallies that happened in 2016. 30,000 women, Palestinians and Arab and Jewish women, worked for 3 days in the desert in order to think otherwise, to do something. So I started asking, who are these people? And then I came to know that these are women, which peace, women who are working 24/7 in order to give peace a chance. So I said, this is what you have to do after your retirement. This is your objective. So I called one of my friends and I came to know them. And the second year, I was at the steering wheel of the committee for one whole year. And I saw the greatness of the women over there. I saw the greatness and the powerful minds who are working, who are thinking, who are doing everything in order to change, to change. And I said, this is where I have to be. Last year, I was at a delegation in South Africa from the Women Wage Peace in order to talk about our movement. And when I was in South Africa talking in front of ministers and powerful politicians over there, I saw the greatness of this movement. All the people there in South Africa hearing us say, oh my God, is this happening? And all the despair and all, you know, the depression that's happening in the Middle East. This movement is the hope of the Middle East. So I think that really, I'm so happy. I'm really happy that I saw them walking at the TV in order to be with them. And I think till now, I think we don't have anything else to do because we believe that this is the way, and we have a vision, we have a way, we have these wonderful women that, and I believe that something is going to happen. 50,000 women who says give peace a chance. I think that it's going to happen. I don't know if it will happen in the time of Ronnie and me, but I'm sure it will happen because people, you know, when how in history people made peace. One thought about something and look at the history. People who made peace are people from down, thinking that they want to see a change, and the world is changing. And I think that in our new language, in our new ideas, in our new vision, in our diverse and inclusive thinking, to think about, imagine that we have religious women, we have Arabs, we have Jewish, we have all sorts of women to come together because there are mothers and they think about the future of their kids. They put it at the first, you know, objective. I think that something is going to happen from our movement. Do you believe also, Ronnie?
I want to connect it to the end of what just Hiyam said, because if you ask about me personally, I must admit that yes, I want to say as a Jew, okay, as a Jew person, if I look at the Jewish history, we needed we needed my grandparents came to Israel and they believed we should have a democratic, a Jewish democratic state. And we needed to fight for it. Okay, so we need an army because we have such a history that you can tell that without an army and without force, we almost had been destroyed altogether. But I'm saying as a Jew person, I was in the army, my father was in the army, my grandfather was in the army, and my husband was in the army. We were all soldiers, but we are strong now. Israel is a very strong country. It's a very small one with a lot of challenges, but basically we have a strong, huge army. We can afford talk in a different way now. We don't need to destroy the Palestinians. They would be here. We don't want them to destroy us, obviously. But we are strong enough now to move on, to change the diskette, to change the way of thinking. Okay, there was one war, another war, and then another war. Enough. We have peace with Egypt. We have peace with Jordan. It's not a peace like in Great Britain and Scotland, but there was war between you two also, but there is an agreement. With Egypt, we have agreement for 40 years. My husband, just before the COVID started, was visiting Egypt. And we have, and 2 years ago, we visited Jordan and we had war with them. So for me personally, is to change the way of thinking. We are strong now. We have peace with Egypt. We have peace with Jordan. Peace had been made between different countries, like in Ireland, in Liberia. We can start work without being afraid from the Palestinians. They are not going, we are not going to wake up one day and they will disappear. 5-6 million Palestinians live with us, like I'm part of Israel, but there is Palestinians who live in Gaza and there is Palestinians who live just 5 minutes from me here in Jerusalem. So we can afford, and I knew that what hit me was the cycle of violence. I was living in the middle of Jerusalem in the time, I was a teacher in a high school in the time of all the suicide bomber there. And it was terrible. And then my kids are going to go to the army. What am I going to tell them? That I didn't do anything? I felt like I have, just to be able to look in their eyes, I am going to do, although maybe it's naive, I'll be looked stupid, but I have to do something. That because before I'm sending them to the army, because you have to go to the army, I want to be able to look at their eyes and to tell them, look, I am doing whatever I can to change this way of thinking, to change it, and maybe to move it to change the direction to a different direction. And at the beginning, it was not easy with my kids. First of all, like a teenagers, they were embarrassed by their mom being, wearing this outfit, going outside, and with all this, with all this, we're holding all different kind of pamphlets outside.
Yeah.
And then we had to confront with people. People were shouting at us, and we were trying to talk in a nice way, like Ian said. So they were embarrassed by me. But I said, I have to, because I know that one day when they would look at me and would ask, why did you let me go to the army and didn't do anything? Because they put their life on. It's not a joke. It's not an American movie. It's real life. But eventually, before my two twins went to the army, a boy and a girl, we had celebration and stuff. So both of them in a different way said, Mom, we are proud you are doing it. And that was, for me, it was like it was like the big present. So mainly it is funny to say, of course it's ideology, of course I have a list of values that I can give you a lecture about. But personally, since I am coming from a family who suffered already from war. And my father lost his brother, so I know exactly how it looks like to live, to raise in such a family. And then I'm not looking for revenge. It's going no way. So I think that what we are what we did for ourselves, but what we are also trying and working very hard to do with the Palestinian society and the Israeli society is to change the direction. To say it's possible because it's going nowhere. I mean, it's a dead end, and young people keep losing their life. What's the point? We are strong enough, and nothing is going to change. So, for me, it's really from a very personal motivation.
Thank you both of you for sharing your stories. It's amazing for us to hear the stories of real people who've done so much on these things and changed so much with this movement. I'm going to move now to some of the audience questions which we've got, and we've had so many. There is absolutely no way we are going to get to every question. If you are watching along at home, do feel free to thumbs up the questions on the Slido, which you'd most like to hear the answer to, so we can make sure we answer the most burning of everyone's questions. The first question that we have in pertains to some of your political work. You mentioned earlier trying to get the attention of politicians and make change via the political avenue, if you will. How receptive in general have politicians been to your cause, to your message, and what kind of results have you seen from your campaigns with regard to getting politicians on side and doing what they should do?
I would like to say that one of the things that we are doing, it's that we used to go once a week to the Knesset, which is the parliament of Israel. And all the politicians, even the prime minister was over there. We used to go every week wearing our white and turquoise dress, yes, sitting upstairs and looking in the eyes of the people who are taking decisions. Imagine week after week after week, seeing these women sitting over there, looking in their eyes and telling them, take care what decision you are taking. We are here listening for you. We used to move in the parliament. Everyone of the decision makers used to talk with us, telling us, look, we see you, we know what you want, we do our everything in order to help you. We are doing everything because here in Israel, every 10 years we have a war. Every 10 years we have a war. And I think Israel is most of the countries who had wars. Even, I don't know where in the world every 10 years you have a war. So our objective was to tell them, and every day, for instance, there is a very big problem between Israel and the Gaza Strip. Every time, you have balloons floating, with fire over us and the army, every day it could be. But being there, telling them that think about other solutions. We don't want our sons dead over there. I think we have done a lot. I think, and we used to see them talking, in the parliament, telling you are one of them. I think a minister over there, I don't remember his name. We were walking and he told us, you are the hope of this country. You are the hope of this country. And for me, I think being over there, being between the leaders over there, with the בנחרצות, מה זה נחרצות?
Decisive.
מה?
We are very decisive.
In a decisive way. I think we have done a lot. And till now, for instance, what's going to happen on the 23rd? We will be at the parliament. All what Ronnie said will be over there. We're talking with the leader, talking with the minister, talking with the members of the parliament. I think they are listening to us, but because they have so many, things on their minds, and because the conflict, which is it's a big conflict. It's a big conflict.
Look, I think they are listening to us, but I'm not naive. Some of them wanted us to disappear. Let's face it.
Yes,
If it was so easy, then we had already an agreement.
but 50%.
In the Palestinian side,
50% listens to us, and 50% doesn't. We have to say 60% to be 60%.
we work even with the politicians. We work in different tactics. One, as Hiyam said, we come on Mondays. We used to come on Mondays, every Monday, a group
before the
of
corona.
30 or 60 women volunteering, coming from Haifa, just with our uniform, so they would see us because they had known the message. But this is not the only thing, because on Thursdays, women from Jerusalem who lives near the parliament used to come to the committees, to sit in the committees, again, with the uniform, asking questions, remarks, and everything. Third, that we had initiative. A team of us came up with initiative of a bill, of a law. And this law, we operate,
a proposal.
We brought her an idea, which is a very, I mean, if you go into our website, it's a long book about it, but we have a short in English, a short version in English, but it's also a proposal for a law that suggests that more people will be involved in the decision making about war, because we realized that before every war it was only the prime minister and the head of the army, and it should be more people involved. And then they should look for how do you say halufot? I forgot the word.
Alternative decisions.
So because we realized that even in the Yom Kippur War, Lebanon War, there was no alternative. They didn't look for alternatives. So we came up with a law that will force them to look for alternatives. So with politicians, and look, just a week ago, we were sending all of us emails to the politicians. We attack them with mails. We are trying, and there was a 2 years ago, around a specific date, we were standing in front of their houses. So it's different tactics all the time, because politicians, what Leima Boy, the Liberian woman who got the Nobel Prize in 2011, she said, if you are not going to stand here or to stand on their heads, they are not going to work for you. And I'm not naive, they are not going to work for us. So we are trying to, although we pay them and they should work for us, but it's very complicated here. And look, some of the politicians in Israel, they don't realize and they don't accept the idea that there is a Palestinian nation at all. So we are looking for different, as I said, we have different tactics, and we are not naive. Sometimes we get tired, or as Hiyam said, we not despair, but we are looking for different tactics and different ways to influence them.
Yeah, it's very sad for me to think that more than 50% don't want a Palestinian nation, but I think we have to stress and we have to be decisive and to tell them that if we want to have a Palestinian nation besides us, we will never be at peace. We will never be at peace, and will never be relaxed from wars. This is what they have to understand. And as you said, I like what you said, Ronnie, that now Israel is strong. And I think while Israel is strong, she has to give her hand to her neighbors, because Israel is living in an Arab world. We have millions of Arabs around us. Let's say that now, while Israel is strong, they are still weak. But who said that they are going to stay weak? I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I say, while my country is strong, I'm an Arab living in Israel, but I feel also I'm an Israeli, because I'm an Arab and I am an Israeli, and which is, for me, I always look at both sides. And I know that we will never, ever be relaxed here and at peace within and outside if we don't make peace with the Palestinians. I know that
Yes,
it's very
you know what?
complicated, but every day, but I always think that we have to, and the Congress that we are thinking about, Ronnie, is going to do something. I'm very, very optimistic.
You know what I can add before we go to another question is that I was 4 years ago, I was in Glasgow, and I was very impressed, and I was even inspired by the fact that if I remember right, that for more than 100 years, the Scottish needed to
Yeah,
hide their identity because of the British forced them. And when the King of England said, okay, I think, well, I don't remember, it was Elizabeth's father or whatever who it was, he said, okay, I let you, I mean, you are now can go back to your
Scottish.
culture. So all of a sudden, from nowhere, people remember the way the kilt looks like and the songs and the poems and all the history just pop up. And I'm saying it would be the same with Palestinians.
Yeah,
They would never forget their history. They would never forget the culture.
never, ever,
Never, ever. We didn't.
never, ever.
The Jews, the Scottish didn't. So why keep fighting?
Why losing time? Why losing time?
Okay, נכון, נכון. שאלה הבאה. Next question.
Okay.
Next question. Yeah, so we have another question here about sort of in everything you do as an organization, to what extent have you had to contend with sexism and misogyny against your organization and your key message? Has that presented an obstacle? How have you negotiated that?
Well, it is an obstacle. Look, and both of us, as Ayam said, and I am also, we are above 60, and most of our members, our activists, are at the same age. And why? Because we are strong enough and have the money and the ability and the time. Okay? So, because when I was 14, 3 kids and full-time job and my parents, I mean, so now I can afford it. But what we start hearing when we were working this week, oh, don't you have nothing to do? Don't you have grandchild? Oh, old ladies or whatever. Of course. I mean, we do face it. We do face it. It's not easy at all. Israeli is a very, the whole society, the Jewish society and the Arabic society is very polarized, quite violent. That's why when Hiam said that we have new language, which we are talking a positive way, it helps us a lot, although it's very tough. Because when you come in a positive and in a nice way, it's hard for the other side. But yes, we face a lot of
Obstacles.
obstacles in that field of men laugh at us. Oh, why do you want women in this? I mean, yeah, we don't. Misogynia.
I would like to add the obstacles for me as a Palestinian Arab living in Israel. For instance, many people don't believe in what I am doing because the thing that I have said, because people, are used to blaming and shaming and talking, with the aggressive way. But when they hear that we change our language, we talk in a positive way, we ask questions, we listen to each other, we talk to each other, they say, you are naive. Even my family told me, you are so naive. The Jewish people don't want Palestine beside them. The Jewish people don't think about us. You are doing nothing. So please leave this movement. And after 3 years, when they saw what I'm doing, and I showed them all the videos, what you are doing, my son told me that, as your son told you, I think, Mom, I'm proud of you, and you are going to make a change. And don't listen to anyone who tells you that don't be with this movement, because there are, in with the Arabs, you have, as Ronnie said, we have plenty of hostile feelings sometimes, that we don't feel equal. Sometimes, there was this law of law of nationalism. What's the law that I'm not equal to Ronnie? We have plenty of problems. But I think, because I think positive, I feel that Ronnie feels that I'm equal to her. And for me, it's okay. I don't want, for me, if I have 4,000 of 50,000 women who think that I'm equal to them, I think for me, it's okay. But people don't think like me. And I'm in a way to make workshops and talking to people. Sometimes I see listening ears. Sometimes they told me I'm naive and
No, but
nothing is going.
it also goes, yeah, to the question that about us being women.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a lot of remarks.
Yes. Yes.
Look,
yes.
I just got a phone call right before this conversation from the woman who in charge of organizing our parade on Monday, and she was asking me whether I'm willing to go with the megaphone, which
yeah.
I don't know. So I said, okay, yes, I hate that, but I said yes, and because I know that in the moment that I will have this outfit, go in the street, and I'll take the megaphone with a bunch of women around me, all of a sudden, all these young men will come up with all their remarks. Yes, yes, yes. We are not
easy. Yeah, it's not easy. It's
egalitarian, polite society yet. Not yet.
I always say that you have to light a candle instead of cursing the dark.
Okay.
So we are lighting a candle, Ronnie, and if a candle and another candle, maybe we'll have light.
Whenever we have something outside in the streets, I prepare myself taking a deep breath, because I know that going outside won't be easy. But this is it. I mean, we believe we can change, so that's the way to do it.
You know something, Ronnie, when I'm depressed and I think about you, for instance, about our small talks, and I feel that it's okay, I don't have to think about all the people who are living. For me,
right.
this is what I feel by an encounter or a meeting between two persons. I think if plenty of people start to meet and to talk and to dream together and to see that you think about me. For instance, sometimes you are more radical than me, for instance.
Yeah, I think that maybe one of our good points is as a movement is having Arabs and Jews together. That was a very big change. Also, that was made me want to jump into this movement. When I saw it's written in Hebrew and Arabic, I said, I'm in. Women, and because we have Bedouin, we have Druze, we have Muslims, and we have Jews, that okay, because that is special. And I think this is also helps us, not just us to be working together, but it also helps us very much outside. When audience, different kind of audience, when they would meet us, it's, oh, Hiyam, you are an Arab. And as a Jew, as I can say, you're an Arab, you don't look an Arab. Jew, you don't look a Jew. I mean, when we all come together,
the stereotypes
that help us to cope with all these remarks.
And in a similar vein, I know you mentioned earlier about how the movement has been able to bring in women who didn't sort of care about politics, didn't really get involved with all of that sort of stuff before. How much has political participation for women changed since your campaign took off, and what's how have you how's the organization seen things change?
I didn't understand the question. You mean that what the organization can change?
Did we see that the politics change? Are you asking about whether we had been succeeded to change politics?
Yeah, I think the question is asking, maybe the questioner can clarify somehow to me, but I think what they're trying to get at is how has the environment around the movement changed over time in terms of the political climate, and particularly for women?
I think that, well, first, it's different. I mean, it's different because first, when we just, as I said, we felt like Hiam described, or we felt that we have to be out there with these women, okay, to be part of it. So hundreds of women joined. But then some women said, oh, you're so naive, it's not going to work. But there is another part, even politicians who said, oh, you're too nice. You're too nice, there is occupation, and there is all this suffer, and you are talking about it in a nice way, it's not nice. I mean, from both sides, we were attacked by and criticized by being too nice and switching the language. We are not talking about occupation anymore and the suffering, and we are not talking against the government, but we are talking pro peace and pro agreement. So we had been criticized a lot by both sides, but the fact is that we are the largest movement. Many women joined us from all walks of life, from the right wing to the left wing. So, and what we managed, I think, succeeded to change is we managed at least one goal to get is to bring the talks about agreements and about peace again. Even the word peace was not allowed to be out there anymore. If I just said we should talk about peace, people would say to me, oh, you are a betrayer, you love Arabs. But by going be out there, and so many of us, so we put it back. But as we said, it's a big challenge, it still is. But I think we managed to move a little bit the way of thinking, the terminology had been changed thanks to our activity.
Thanks. So our time is almost up. I believe we have time for just one more question from the many questions which have come in over the course of our conversation, and that is bringing us back to some of what's happening just at the moment. What do you make of the Arab world's reaction to the UAE's recent decision, the acceptance of Israel, and do you see this relationship growing to include more Arab countries over time? Just like to hear your thoughts on that.
You mean about the Abraham peace? You mean about the Abraham peace? Yeah. To tell you the truth, I want to talk about myself. For me, it's ambivalent, because from one side, I'm happy that, the Arab world is open to Israel, for instance. They have the natural resources, and we have the mines over here in Israel. And for me, I think I'm happy that, as Ronnie said, the word peace came again to the dialogue, to the discourse of the society. But I'm a bit sad, and I think that how come we are making peace with the Arab world, whom you have to go by plane for 4 hours, and while here at Jerusalem, 5 minutes, we don't look at the people who are around us, people who are starving, people who are doing everything in order to tell them, look, we are here. So it's a bit sad. But what our movement are saying, and one of our slogan is, before going to the Emirates, please pass by Ramallah. And even this small thing that our organization are doing with slogans and standing at intersections, where it's saying, please pass by Ramallah. it's good. For instance, now we see that I was at the Emirates last year, and I saw the people over there that they want peace. The Bahrain wants peace. Now we are doing with Sudan. I think it's good, but I believe that these people, the Arab world, won't do real peace with Israel if they don't do anything with the Palestinians. This is my hope, and I believe that, because I know that they say something, and there is something behind, and I know, because I saw the meeting between our Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Business in Emirates. I think in his speech he mentioned 3 or 4 times the peace with Palestine. I think our Prime Minister and the people and the decision makers, they know that in their heart, that if they don't do peace with Palestine, there will never be peace in the Middle East. But this is why I feel ambivalent about the thing. But to tell you the truth, I'm happy that because we live in a cage over here. It's very difficult to live in a cage while we have beautiful countries around us. For instance, Ronnie, I don't know if you were in Lebanon. I was in Lebanon. I was in Dubai. I was in Abu Dhabi. I said, why? Ronnie can't come with me over there. Why she don't come with me to Lebanon? As she said, for 40 years, we have an agreement with Egypt. Not a soldier, get wounded. I know it's a cold agreement, because the Arab world, they have a consensus. First make peace with Palestine, then we will open the world for you. And I remember our Prime Minister Peres, he always said that here we can have a paradise in the Middle East if we think otherwise. If we open our hearts, we see the other, and we want for the other as we want for ourselves. This is what we believe, and this is what our organization is thinking about.
Yeah. Maybe I can add another direction. First of all, if there is many questions, maybe you can send us. We have a page, a Facebook page, an English Facebook page, and a Women Wage Peace Jerusalem page. So you can go into our website and our Facebook pages and get more information. And even you can write me through these pages, and I can, have this conversation if you want. But I wanted just to say about a short idea about the Abraham agreements, that it can be in a different way, a very good point. Because first of all, yes, the Palestinians feel bad about it, and they feel neglected, and they do.
And forgotten.
And I feel sorry about it, and I feel guilty about it. But since it is a right government who did this agreement with the Abraham agreements with the Emirates, and now they talk with Sudan, and they talk with the Saudi Arabia. But this is also a government and politicians who used to say that all the Arabs are killers, all the Arabs are enemies,
terrorists.
So I think that maybe, I hope that I'm not too optimistic, but I think that maybe since they meet Arabs, they speak Arab, they have an Arab culture, they go to Arab countries. So in that sense, maybe it would change in Israel, not only there, but in Israel society, in the Jewish society, it is changing the concept, because they used to say that all the Arabs are bad. So now there is good Arabs and bad Arabs. I mean, Arabs are human beings. So maybe in what we say in Hebrew, there is a way to say, maybe without knowing we were going to get this goal, we will get that goal.
Yeah.
I don't know how to translate that, but this is a positive. Of course, it's good to have agreements with more countries, but the fact that they are Arab countries, I think that eventually, I hope that eventually it's influence of the attitude to Arabs outside and inside Israel, all Arabs. So maybe it would be for the best. And they all know that Palestinians and especially now after the election in the United States, that the Palestinians' solution would be back on table again. So we hope that the Emirates will be a positive force in this direction, as Hiyam said.
And of course, that message of hope continues to be so important. We do have to leave it there. Unfortunately, I wish we could get to all of the questions that we have. If we were in normal times at the moment, this would be where I pause and I let the room show their appreciation, which unfortunately we can't do. But I know you guys can't see the stream of comments and questions and appreciation that's coming in. But people are absolutely thrilled. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been.
Thank you. Thank you for
it's
thinking about us.
not at all. It has
and
been.
Like us in the Facebook and support our work through our website. That would be great. Just let them know through the website.
Yeah, I have to say that yes, the reception has been so warm. It's been fascinating to hear about everything you do and your stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And come visit us. Come visit us. Our country is very beautiful.
I'd just like to give a brief moment before we wrap up for our societies to tell us a little bit more about what else they do after this event. So I think we have the Dialectic Society first. President Gwendolyn. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Dialectic, what do we have going on? We have a couple of events coming up. The first is I think, a very exciting event. I'm very looking forward to it, which is normally we have a big fancy black tie dinner at this time of the year, but obviously we can't do that. So we're going to do an online murder mystery night next week on Friday, so the 27th, and that should be really brilliant. There should be a Google form for you to fill out soon, so you can get assigned your character, and then we're all going to try and work out who's killed who. This is more the social side of Dialectic rather than us sort of talking to each other and doing panels and so on. And so that should be really fun. Yeah. Oh, I've just been sent a message. Is it telling me to? Yeah, it's telling me that we also have a talk on Monday with a charity society on campus that is talking about how we should be donating money to charity, and so that should also be really interesting. So like us on Facebook, find us. All the information is on there. Yeah. I'll pass over to Iona to talk about.
Hi, yeah, and thank you again, Hiyam and Ronay. That was incredible, and you might regret the invitation to Israel because I will be taking you up on that, and I would love to meet you in person.
You are welcome. Also, all of you are welcome.
Welcome.
Oh my goodness, amazing. So yeah, I am here representing Goopids, and we're still a very new society and very much still finding our feet. But we've got a few things in the pipeline, and currently we're organising a talk from Yossi Od, who does the Bees for Peace initiative, which is a project which teaches Israeli and Palestinian women how to beekeep, and with the objective being that we can learn a lot from bees and how they work together in part of how to create a lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, and thank you so much for coming if you've been watching, and it's been amazing. I've had a lovely evening, and I hope everyone else has too. I'm sure you have.
Thank you.
Thank you to our two host societies. You can, of course, follow both on Facebook. I'm sure you'll get through to them searching each of their names, and of course to Women Wage Peace. I'm sure all of the names into Google will get you to the correct places. Thank you everyone for coming, and good night. We should end the live stream.
Thank you.
Soon.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ronnie,